Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button if you guys are enjoying the content that we're throwing up. And make sure you guys hit the like button if you enjoy the video. And yeah, let's begin. Rob Core. Let me tell y'all something. Let me tell y'all something, man. Let me tell y'all something. Y'all remember when we did Jonathan Hickman's Avengers and New Avengers? And like I was standing up, like I got out of my seat. I'm holding my microphone in my hand right now. I don't even know if you can hear it. I got up out of my seat and I was like, man, let me tell y'all something. You guys remember that? Do you guys remember that? When it was just like, damn, son. That's what this is, guys. That's what this is. That is what this is. That's what this is, right? That's what this is. Let me get back here. Let me get back in my chair. Let me get back in my chair before we start having church in this place. This story is nuts. Let me tell you something, man. If God was writing comic books right now, this is what it would look like right now. It is, man, it's amazing, man. I hope y'all feel the hype. I hope y'all feel the excitement. Okay, so we pick up with Dylan, who's now inside of Knull, the symbiote god. Right, we pick up with Dylan, who's now part of Knull, the symbiote god. And this initially is like Knull talking to him. Knull's just kind of like, hey, like don't be afraid, you know, all that kind of stuff. The issue is that while Knull is talking to Dylan, you have this third voice that comes out of nowhere. Now, initially, my thought was, oh my God, it's Flash Thompson, right? Like Flash Thompson's talking to Dylan, which would be cool. It's not Flash Thompson, right? I'm not gonna tell you who it is, but well, I will tell you who it is. I'll tell you here in a little bit, but it's not Flash Thompson, right? It's not Flash Thompson. So here's a crazy thing. The voice is kind of talking to him and it's like, Dylan, like you have to listen to me, right? Like you have to remain calm and you have to listen to me. Now, while all that's going on, you got Knull who's kind of talking to this kid and saying like, calm down, right? Like I'm not here to hurt you, you know, I understand that you have kind of been made to destroy me, right? Like that's the whole idea behind you. You know, you were born into this world, you're essentially a living symbiote, but you have been molded and you have been crafted by the people out there on your world to believe that you can destroy me. But understand, child, I am not someone so easily destroyed, right? I cannot be undone by the heroes of Earth. Do you need me to prove my point? I've conquered your planet. I've taken over all of your superheroes. There's no one left to stand against me. There is, but he's like, there's nobody left to stand against me. Now, at the same time, this third voice says, look, like I'm a friend, right? Like I don't know how much longer I can hold this connection, but I need you to listen to me. I can get you out of here, right? So this person's obviously a friend chiming into Dylan and trying to help him out. And it's one of these things where this person knows something that Knull doesn't, right? They're like, Knull made a mistake bringing you here. In his hubris and in his arrogance, he made a mistake bringing you here, right? And you can use that to your advantage. You can focus and you can basically control his powers by using your own. Because if Knull is the one who created the All Black and Knull is basically the person who controls all the symbiotes, then it makes sense that if Dylan can manipulate symbiotes, that Dylan can in turn control the symbiotes through Knull, because Knull's basically given the ability to do so. Like Knull has essentially put him in a position to where he can take control of the wheel. That's basically what he's done. And so it's kind of like, okay, like he tells the voice in his head to shut up, right? To just like leave him alone. And Knull finally approaches him and says like, I will give you the darkness. I will give you the All Black. Join me and then and we'll burn this world to the ground and we'll move on into the universe and we'll conquer everything else, right? And my initial thought was, oh my God, Dylan's gonna side with him. Like, oh my God. Because here's the thing, in the alternate reality he did, in the alternate reality Venom story he did, so I was like, oh my God, he's gonna side with Knull. And I was like, why in the world would he, right? Like, why would he side with Knull? And ultimately, like, he goes to take Knull's hand and then he's like, you killed my dad. And then like immediately just like seizes control of Knull and then just starts control, like literally freeing all the different superheroes who were under control of the symbiotes. Man, let me tell you something, right? Like Cyclops, Susan Storm, Johnny Storm, Thor, right? You're like God of Thunder Thor. He's literally releasing all these guys. Now it's causing him a great deal of anguish and pain, right? Because it's just so incredibly tough to do. To literally harness the mind of a multiversal god, it's not an easy thing, right? I mean, it takes a little more than 15 minutes of meditation. You understand what I'm saying? So it's just it's kind of nuts. But then he ultimately ends up freeing Doctor Strange. And that's where things shift, because remember, Doctor Strange can elevate himself to like Super Strange, right? To basically turn himself into a god. And that's what he does, right? Like he takes his staff and he's like, okay, you know, if Knull wants to be a god, if Knull wants to kind of prounce around here and say he's God, then that's fine. Then I can play at that game as well, right? And then using his staff, grants himself the powers of Watum and basically makes himself like this super high echelon god, right? Now, from that, at that point, he literally started, this disembodied voice starts anchoring to everybody else through Dylan, right? Like anchoring into Human Torch and Thor and Doctor Strange and all those guys. And it's kind of like, okay, we're all initiating one giant push at the same time. So Susan Storm uses her force fields, Doctor Strange uses his powers, you've got the Human Torch, you got Cyclops, Cyclops, the whole 9 yards. Like, they're literally launching this multifaceted attack on Knull, the symbiote gods, and all the forces who were there. And all hell is breaking loose, right? Like absolute pandemonium is unfolding here, right? Like, is going bananas. And it's crazy, right? So then you have Thor and you have Storm, who combine their power over the lightning and then use that, you know, to basically attack Knull. So like all of them are launching an attack against Knull at the same time, right? Because when they're freed, like they're freed out in the real world, right? Like Dylan's still inside Knull. And that's kind of the crazy thing, is because once Knull begins to kind of recover for a second, he's like, do you really believe that you can defeat me, kid? Like, do you think you've won? Like, how could you possibly believe that after seeing everything that I've done here, right? Sure, you freed a handful of your superheroes. I've enslaved celestials, right? I've enslaved cosmic gods with the power to create life. Who are you guys to stand in the face of me? Now, this is when this person makes their presence known, right? This is when this person makes his presence known. Like, actually, that's where I come in, right? They say, I don't believe we've been introduced. My name is Jean Grey. It's Jean Grey, son. Jean Grey of the X-Men. And I was like, man, what a person to bring in. I was like, man, it's crazy, right? Like it's crazy. It's crazy, this whole thing, right? So at that point, she taps into the mind of Knull, right? Because remember, Jean Grey is an Omega level telepath. She can do that. She basically taps into the mind of Knull, and she's like, there has to be some kind of weakness to this guy. There's got to be something we can exploit. And Jean Grey's approaching this from the perspective of like, maybe he had some kids. Maybe he's like the way he is because like he really loved a girl once, she didn't love it back, you know? So like he took the red pill and then got all pissy because he believes he deserves he can have any woman he wants, you know? And it's like, no, I'm sorry, Knull, that's not the case, right? When she goes through and starts analyzing him, she starts to realize that there is no inherent weakness to this guy. Not that she can determine, right? This guy hails from like the darkness, but then she starts to realize the darkness existed long before Knull did, right? Like the darkness was there long before he was. He just somehow came into existence. He's learned how to manipulate the darkness. He's learned how to control the All Black, but it's not as though he was the only thing there. There was a force of light that existed out there before he did. And this force of light faced off against Knull in the early days of their existence, right? That Knull used his power to kind of try to quash this light, right? This source of light. And the source of light created its own soldiers to face off against Knull, but it was still relatively new. It didn't quite know what it was actually capable of. And so it ended up spreading its forces too thin. And the result was that where it could have defeated Knull, instead, it ended up as a stalemate. And the two of them more or less ended up killing each other. And that's where you have like the soldier of light versus Knull crashing on that planet that belonged to Gore the God Butcher during Jason Aaron's run on Thor, where he takes the All Black sword and then goes forward and does his own thing. But that's where she says like the light, it was sentient, it was alive, right? Like it gave this army unimaginable power, but it simply wasn't enough, right? And so this source of light left this soldier after, you know, Gore took the, you know, All Black and left. But like somehow or another, you know, it's basically been floating out there in the universe trying to find a worthy host all this time. And the whole idea behind it finding a host is to destroy Knull, is to use that power to defeat Knull. And that's what she realizes, it's basically a symbiote. His opposite, this source of light, is in effect a symbiote. It bonds itself to a host, and then it gives that host a huge amount of power. And so she's like, the light, it's on its way here. Like it's coming here right now, but it can't get through Earth. And so while Jean Grey's trying to cope with this insanely overwhelming amount of power and this realization, this disembodied voice chimes in and says, Jean, do not worry, I am here, right? The Silver Surfer has arrived, man. The Silver Surfer is here, right? The Silver Surfer's arrived. The Silver Surfer shows up here and says like, I see this light trying to get into Earth, trying to bond itself to a host on Earth. It cannot get through, but I can, right? Because it cannot penetrate the darkness of Knull. So it's like, I can, right? So literally the Silver Surfer bonds with the light and then blows a hole through like the forces, like the atmosphere of the Earth, right? Where like Knull's symbiotes are like covering the world, all that kind of stuff. Manages to blow a hole through. Knull loses his shit because he's like, no, right? This light comes flying in. And then when Silver Surfer arrives, the light leaves him. And he's like, oh no, you're not looking for me. Okay, then fine. Go and find your chosen warrior, right? Switch over to Reed Richards. And when you basically pick up with this energy source that arrives to Reed Richards, then he's like, okay, like I'm doing all these readings, I'm conducting all these experiments. I recognize this. I know this source of light. We call it the God of Light because we didn't previously really understand what this was. But after doing all these energy readings, I know exactly what it is. And he's just kind of like, we've been calling it by the wrong name. The actual name of this energy source is the Enigma Force. The Enigma Force, man, dude. Because at that point, it's just kind of like literally, it's like finally, like the nature of the Enigma Force has been completely solved. Which literally, Donny Cates just gave us the origin of the Enigma Force, right? Which is kind of nuts. But like, the energy source basically leaves Reed and then bonds itself to its proper host, which is Eddie Brock. Guys, Eddie Brock just became Captain Universe. With that being said, guys, we're gonna bring this video to an end. If you are new here to Comics Explained Cliffhangers, make sure you guys hit the sub button to become part of the Rob Corps. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you drop a like, and I will catch you all later. Peace.